Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. Today, we're finna react to top 10 worst things Mr. Krab has done. Oh, boys. Obviously, the worst one is selling Mr. Krabs, selling SpongeBob soul for 62 cents. That's crazy, bruh. A ticket, Mr. Krabs.
That's disgusting. We
just want the hat back.
No flippin' way!
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most heinous crimes Mr. Krabs has committed.
I'm taking jelly off the menu.
He really got burned on that deal.
Number 10, exploiting Patrick. No hat for Pat. We all know Patrick is far from the bright bulb in Bikini Bottom. Even so, it's never right to take advantage of someone else's lack of intelligence or self-respect. A light joke may be good every once in a while, but Mr. Krabs gets egregious in No Hat for Pat.
Now that's the kind of mindlessness I'd pay money to see.
You mean cash money?
Upon noticing the Krusty Krab hat causes Patrick to fall down and attract a crowd, Mr. Krabs begins charging people to watch Patrick hurt himself, with the act getting more excessive as people lose interest.
7 hours later.
And no, Patrick does not see a single cent out of the self-inflicted trauma. What's worse is that Patrick sees so much value in the hat that he's willing to keep harming himself just to keep the gig.
See the part-time minimum wage employee fall from high atop this tower into this bucket of spiny sea urchins.
And Eugene suffers very little consequence in the end. Number 9, serving customers pure grease. Greasy buffoons. In this episode, Krabs and Plankton make a magical discovery that could possibly boost their sales. Grease.
Slather the grease from the second patty onto the first one, and voila! It's a deluxe-y Krabby Patty.
Smelly, tasty, beautiful, fryer grease. From yummy buns to crispity crunchities, the two quickly begin a war with each other to get Bikini Bottom addicted to their food. However, Eugene is the one that hits the bottom of the barrel with what he calls wow soup, which is just pure grease on a paper plate.
This is our latest product. It's pure grease on a paper plate.
In the end, he and Plankton wind up coating their restaurants in the nasty crud while causing some severe health issues and injuries for their customers, and the Bikini Bottom Health Department only gives them a warning while SpongeBob swoops in to save the day.
What's going on here?
Nothing, Mr. Inspector.
I've been feeding people.
Number 8, grave robbing. One Krabs trash. Shortly after giving SpongeBob a soda drinking hat for $10, Mr. Krabs learns that the hat is highly sought after by wealthy collectors, one of them offering $1 million for it. How far is he willing to go for the chance at obtaining that cash?
I didn't want to have to do this, but he leaves me no other option. I'm gonna have to scare it off of him.
Insulting SpongeBob is one thing, stalking and haunting him is another thing too. But Eugene goes so far as to commit grave robbing and fight a defenseless army of the undead to retrieve the hat.
Am I really gonna defile this grave for money? Of course I am!
Thankfully, Karma makes a rare appearance in this episode. By the time Krabs returns to the collectors, they have discovered the hats were mass-produced and sitting in a warehouse loaded with them, the last of them now sitting in the dumpster.
Well, that's a spirit breaker.
Number 7, starving his employees and using them as bait. Clams. After receiving his millionth dollar, Mr. Krabs decides to take his employees on a fishing trip. Aw, how thoughtful. But when the buck is eaten by a giant clam, his whole attitude shifts. No one leaves the boat until the dollar is back in his pocket, and Eugene even goes so far as to toss all of their food out.
Now I think we understand each other. Nobody eats until I get my millionth dollar back.
But what makes the trip even more of a nightmare is when he decides to tie up SpongeBob and Squidward to use as live bait.
There's only one use for a backstabbing crew like you. Live bait.
Krabs does manage to get his dollar back with his employees' lives still intact, but at what cost? Everything but his head and one arm. Number 6, spreading misinformation. The Krabby Chronicle. A tabloid known as the Bottom Feeder has inspired Mr. Krabs to start up a newspaper of his own to sell juicy stories.
You could say something like, oh, man, Mary's pole. Then you could alter the photo a little to fit the headline and... See? Now that's a juicy story.
In order to sell as many copies as possible, he has SpongeBob use a little imagination to come up with bogus stories. This initially excites SpongeBob until he starts to find out his stories are severely affecting people's lives.
Mr. Krabs, we're hurting people.
Oh, baloney. You better start feeling right, because if you don't, you can just kiss your spatula goodbye.
Mr. Krabs, you wouldn't.
Oh, darn tootin' I would.
Mrs. Puff loses all of her students, Larry is banned from the gym, Sandy loses her science awards, and Plankton sees the chum bucket get shut down. Fortunately, Eugene's scheme comes crashing down when SpongeBob spends a whole night writing the wildest story ever. And how does the episode end? Oh, with the start of a counterfeiting scheme.
Pays his tired, underage reporter pennies while he rakes in the dough.
How could you do that to such an innocent child?
Number 5, the Jelly House. Jellyfish Hunter. Mr. Krabs already has a history of stealing from animals. Remember when he stole Clamu's pearl in the smoking peanut?
But it's free day.
But his theft in Jellyfish Hunter is worse. When SpongeBob's jelly patty starts selling like hotcakes, Eugene tasks him to go out and capture every jellyfish in Jellyfish Fields.
How's about you go catch me some of those little money fish?
But the illustrious unnamed blue jellyfish pays a visit to SpongeBob, and the fry cook discovers a horrifying sight. Mr. Krabs builds a factory made to fully extract every jellyfish before dumping them in the trash. We're just glad to see the jellyfish exact their revenge, and it's bad enough to convince Mr. Krabs to cease the sale of jelly patties.
That's it, boys. Keep that gelatinous gold a-flowing.
Number 4, the amusement park scam.
Oh,
Krabby Land.
yeah.
In the first few minutes of Krabby Land, we already learned Krabs has his own tactics for scamming kids out of their parents' money.
Well, during this summer break, the children wander bikini bottom unsupervised, their pockets lined with allowance, free to spend their money without any parental guidance whatsoever.
This summer, he has a new method in the form of Krabby Land, a botched playground that looks fun if you want to risk getting tetanus.
Okay, children, it's time for the grand unveiling of Krabby Land!
He even promises the appearance of a special character named Krabby the Clown, which turns out to just be Mr. Krabs with a dumb tie and a blue tomato on his nose. Karma makes another increasingly rare appearance here.
Hey, I ain't cheap! Now take this tomato back to the kitchen before it spoils.
The kids
beg
riot,
your
take their
pardon?
money back, and Eugene is left tied up and forced to eat lima
I
beans.
beg your
Number
pardon?
3, selling SpongeBob, Born Again Krabs. It was bad
How's this not number 1? This should be number 1.
enough that Krabs had a Pinch-O-Matic installed in his trash cans to save a nickel. But then, to try and sell people a patty that is clearly way past its expiration is just plain corrupt. And yet, it's not even the worst thing Eugene has done this episode.
If you had to choose between SpongeBob and all the money I have in my pocket, which would you take?
That depends.
How much
money
money we talking?
Breaking his
Mr.
promise to
Krabs!
stop being cheap has caused the Flying Dutchman to pay him a
62
second visit and take
cents.
Mr. Krabs
I'll take
to
the
Davy
money.
Jones' locker.
Mr.
After
Krabs!
SpongeBob vouches for his boss, the Dutchman takes him up on a bet to see how much he values others over money.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but how could you trade SpongeBob for 62 cents?
You think I could have gotten more?
To no
Oh
one's
my God.
surprise, Krabs takes a whopping 62 cents instead of keeping his loyal fry cook. Absolutely soulless. And it wasn't the first time he's put SpongeBob's well-being on the line. Anyone else remember when he played cards with Plankton and gambled SpongeBob's contract? Shameful.
I bet your contract, and I lost.
Number 2, tormenting Plankton, one-course meal.
Call off your daughter, Krabs! Call her off!
She's a big girl, Plankton. I have no control over what she does. Oh, and you better watch out. I think she's extra hungry today.
We all knew this episode would turn up sooner or later. One-course meal is Mr. Krabs at his worst in terms of his general character. When he learns that Plankton is afraid of whales, Krabs decides to dress up as his own daughter just to keep his rival from stealing the formula again.
I'm hungry.
What starts out as a simple scare tactic turns into stalking, harassment, and torment. It soon causes Plankton to become a shut-in, unable to sleep, and eventually laying in the middle of the road, hoping for a bus to squash him. Yikes.
What's the point of going on? I'll just be tortured for the rest of my life by that whale.
Number 1, the Nasty Patty incident. Nasty Patty. Upon learning about a fake health inspector scamming various restaurants out of free food, Mr. Krabs becomes so enraged that he turns easy ass in health inspection into his worst crime yet.
Why, that's the most diabolical diabolical Krabby Patty ever spawned.
I call it
The Nasty Patty.
He and SpongeBob cook up the grossest Krabby Patty possible, made of toenails, toilet water, and mold, then laugh at the inspector choking. But when realizing the inspector was legitimate, the two think they might have killed him with the patty. Terrified by the consequences of their dark deed, they attempt to bury him and even lie to the police.
Listen here, you little barnacle. No one, and I mean no one, can ever know about this. It'll be the end of you, it'll be the end of me.
And despite all of this, the cops and inspector let them get off from conspiring and still let them pass the inspection. No consequences whatsoever. And would you believe this wouldn't be the last time Krabs tried to commit murder and hide it? Just look at the Out of the Picture episode.
I have done everything I could to get you away from here safely. Now you're messing with me money.
What do you think is the worst thing Mr. Krabs has done? Did it make our list? Let us know in the comments below.
Okay, I confess.
Nah, the 62 cents is wild. The Nasty Patty, yeah, it's kind of out of pocket, but selling SpongeBob soap for 62 cents was crazy, bruh. Nah, and then that's not even the worst part of the episode. The worst part of the episode was when he erased the memory of the movie that one of the customers was watching. He's like, no more free food, no more free refills, no more TV, you freeloader. And then he clicked the button and deleted all his memory of. Yo, that was. Hey, the good years of SpongeBob was probably the best, bro. The best seasons of SpongeBob was probably 1 through 4. 1 through 4. Then after that, it's like. But anyway, so I just go about doing for this one. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, peace out.